Hi, and welcome to Bottom Line. I'm Pastor Paul Steele from Bethlehem Church in Austin, Minnesota. The Bottom Line is our weekly summary of the previous Sunday's sermon. And on Sunday, we started a new sermon series called Formed by Prayer. We've just finished talking about being devoted, and that in Acts chapter 2, verse 42, we saw that the early churches was devoted to the apostles' teaching, to the fellowship, to the breaking of bread, including the Lord's Supper, and to prayer. And as we seek to become a disciple-making church, the foundation of it all is prayer. Prayer is how we are formed into God's image. Prayer is how we join God in the work that He is doing. And so to start off this sermon, which is going to look at different prayers found in the New Testament, we looked at Ephesians chapter 3, verses 14 through 21. And here the Apostle Paul is writing a prayer. And what we notice here about this prayer is that Paul talks about his posture in prayer, that as he thinks about what God is doing, primarily about how God is creating His people from all the different nations of the world, that He is fighting against these evil spiritual forces that seek to corrupt His good creation, that Paul falls down to his knees in humility. Paul is in awe of what God is doing. And so as we come to prayer, we want to be humble. But we also see the content of his prayer, where Paul is asking that God would form the Ephesians, would strengthen them for the work that they have been called to do. And so what we want to do is remember that this task of making disciples is bigger than ourselves, that we need to rely on God, that we need to ask Him to strengthen us, that we need to ask Him to form us through the Spirit. And then we noticed the belief behind the prayer. And that, Paul says, is that God can do infinitely more than what we can ask or imagine, that God is powerful. He is all powerful, that He is able to do it, and that God is more concerned about making disciples, about the people here in Austin, about our own discipleship than we ever will be. And so we need to trust that God is at work and that God is able to work through us to accomplish His purposes. And so our big idea from Sunday is this: prayer is the way God's people experience God in our lives. Prayer is the way God's people experience God in our lives. If we want to experience God, not just know about God, not just learn facts about God, but to actually experience God in our lives, then we need to be people of prayer. And so our challenge is simple, is to join us in prayer. We're going to be praying every Wednesday evening at 6:30. We're going to be taking some prayer walks around our neighborhood. We're going to be praying that God will make us a disciple-making church, that He would make Bethlehem look like our community of Austin. And we're going to continue to pray every day at 2:42 in the afternoon as a reminder that we are an Acts 2:42 church devoted to prayer. So I hope that you will join us in praying as we experience God's power in our lives, so that we can make disciples right here in Austin, Minnesota. So, hey, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being part of Bethlehem. And I wanted to encourage you to join us every Sunday morning at 10:30, either here on YouTube, on Facebook, or better yet, join us in person here in Austin, Minnesota, right next to Ellis Middle School. I hope to see you on Sunday. Have a wonderful rest of the week, and God bless.